Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time. It is Saturday, August 20th, and this is your, I was almost going to say daily financial news. It is not your daily financial news. This is your live Q&A. We do 60 minutes of live Q&A. If you'd like to ask me a question, go ahead and feel free to put it in the comments. You want to say hi, as Tamika has put it in the comments. Good morning, Tamika. How are you? Yeah, let's just have some fun, see what's going on. I thought what I would do here is riff for just a little bit as people join and ask some questions. I want to talk about the housing market as we exit summer, right? We are about to enter September, fall. We're going to enter winter shortly thereafter. And when I look at the rest of the year, I think there's a couple of things that you and I can count on. One, foreclosures, right? I think foreclosures are going to go up. Now, I think there's going to be a lot of YouTube channels that say things like foreclosures up 143%, or maybe foreclosure up 441%. These are people that don't understand the context of the last bubble. They're going to try to compare this one to the last one, and it's not even close. Having lived through, invested through, saw the pain and suffering of the last crisis, I hope we never repeat that. There were families destroyed, hundreds, thousands, millions of families destroyed because of that. But I do think that just mathematically speaking, we are going to see foreclosures go up through the end of the year, into the winter. I just saw a report, I think I talked about it on the Daily Financial News today, where foreclosures are actually down 4% month on month. All of these numbers are almost laughable because there was just over 30,000 foreclosures initiated last month. For context, we were doing 2 million a month at the peak of the last crisis. So we're barely 1% of that. I think there's a very good chance that by the end of the year, we could be over 100,000. Again, for context, heading into 2019, it was not abnormal to have months of 150 to 200,000 foreclosures. If we get into a recession where unemployment doubles and it goes from 3.5 to 7, it could be a little worse than that. I don't see any. I don't see the forced sellers coming from there, but there will be some. There will be some. It's just life happens: death, divorce, sickness. Just things happen in foreclosures. That's how banks take back the collateral. So I think it's reasonable to assume that foreclosures, which again last month was about 30,000, by the end of the year we could be up 300%, 400% by the end of the year. Not earth-shattering, not abnormal, not crazy, not a catastrophe. But maybe we get back to kind of a more run rate of 100 to 150,000 a month. My thoughts there. The other thing I'm thinking about is inventory. I'm really thinking about inventory. I think we're sitting, based on the last report, at about 1.32 million active listings. I think there's a chance we go up this month slightly, maybe 1.35, 1.37, something like that. But then I think something happens in September, October, November, December. I think, again, you can go back and look at this month-on-month data. I think we're going to end up lower at the end of the year. And we've been struggling to get back to kind of the quasi 2 million number, active listings. It's kind of a rough and tough balanced market, 1.9, 2.1, something in there. I don't think we get over 1.4 million active listings. I think the Fed is so broken the housing market. We're going to have years. I don't even, as I sit here right now, I think getting above 1.5 million active listings next year might be tough. A lot of next year is still unclear to me because I don't know where interest rates will be. I don't have a good feeling. I don't know. Will interest rates on the 30-year fixed rate loan be 6%, roughly what they are today? Will they be 8% and really, really, really hammer the market? Or will we get this great Fed pivot that everybody wants and suddenly we're at 4%? I think housing has 3 different outcomes based on mortgage rates. If you're talking housing crash, you're probably also saying mortgage rates are 8%. If you think housing goes to the moon, you probably think mortgage rates are 4%. I have no idea as I sit here today. And then the last thing, affordability is a real problem. The Fed broke housing. They've disturbed the natural order and process of home buying, right? First time, move up, luxury. And a lot of people are going to stay put through at least one, if not 2 or 3 life events. But we also have buyers who are, I think we lost something like 13 or 14 million buyers when rates went from 3 to 6. Makes perfect sense, right? It's a lot easier to afford a home at 3% than it is at 6. If we keep rates at 6, most of those buyers are out for a while. I do think we have wage inflation. I think wage inflation is stickier and more of an issue than currently being reported. But wage inflation is not a get-rich-quick way to fix this, right? Wage inflation, and Dion, thank you for the, what are those called? Super chats or whatever they are. Thank you. Smash that like button, as Dion says. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. We've got to realize that buyers, and this is kind of where I'm going next year, right? When we also all know that we have an election in November, right? We all know that, right? Midterm election. We all expect changes. Who knows what it'll be, but changes will happen. I wonder what the government's going to do, right? Because again, if this channel's right and we have housing transaction crash that gets worse from here, and then we get into January, the new Congress is sworn in, would it be crazy to think about one of their first knee-jerk reactions is, hey, let's go fix the housing market. The housing market is broken. Let's go create a first-time homebuyer program. Let's go create 40-year mortgages. Let's go, let's go, let's go. That is something that frankly, I see coming. I think the housing market has to go through an adjustment. I think the government won't let it. I think they just feel like they have to do something. It's broken. We have to fix it, as opposed to let it just heal itself over a couple of years. And if that happens, folks, there's going to be artificial demand created in the wrong part of the market, and that's first-time home buyer. Again, we have all these move-up buyers stuck. They're not going to suddenly sell. So all we're going to do is create more demand for scarce properties, and unfortunately, prices will go up. So those are things that I look at in the housing market. That's what I see coming. Yeah, it's interesting time. So again, folks, remember that today is for you. I'm going to go ahead and scroll back to the top, see if I can answer any and all questions. Let's keep it going. So Tamika, good morning. How are you? Johnny, good morning. How are you? Nathan, good morning. Anna, good morning. Welcome. Thank you, Better Home Rental. I appreciate you. Corey, is the following a reasonable statement? A consumer-based economy can only thrive if most of the population is terrible with money and spend everything. I think I see where you're going. Most. Yeah, I mean, we so what Corey is really highlighting there is we're a 68% consumer-based economy, the other 32% being government and business. And yeah, the economy moves, on consumerism. That is a correct statement. And thrive is a word. I mean, that's Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, yeah, yeah, unfortunately, a consumer-based economy does really, really well when people are really, really bad with money, really bad with credit. Um, you certainly get GDP growth. Yeah, it is. I mean, just think about it. I mean, Corey, just kind of play the other side. What would happen to the economy if every single American saved 5%? Just snapped your fingers, magic happened, we all save 5% of our money. The economy would almost come to a screeching halt. It's 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 yeah. Yes. Yeah, we have an economy that is based on cheap debt, uh, people who don't save, who spend everything and then some, yeah. I think that's a fair statement. Yep. Paul V, good morning. How are you? JC, how are you? John, good morning. How are you? Dion, smash the like button. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you. Dion in the house. Yep. Matt, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve is still being drained. When they stop draining it or completely drain it, can you imagine where price of oil will go? Yeah, I actually haven't validated that yet. I have looked around. It does appear that they are still tapping that, which is foolish at this point. I mean, isn't oil under 90? Um, so first off, I don't think there's any chance we completely drain it. Let's not, yeah, let's come on. That's not going to happen. At least I hope not. I don't see it happening. To your point though, at some point we are going to have to fill it back up. I fear personally that we fill it up in the winter months, right? Eventually we've got to put it back. We got to fill it back up, and if we have to fill it back up in November or December when Europe and all these other folks are struggling to heat their homes, oil's going to go up. Oil's going to go up. Yeah, it's a problem it's a problem right out in front of us. And as we just saw, when oil or gas, right? Let's just be clear, gasoline got to over $5. I think that was a national average for a couple weeks. Um, really slowed the economy down. And gas and oil is in everything, right? Um, it could be a very expensive winter. It could be. Yeah. Good morning, ET. How are you? Sean, do you think the Fed will have to become even more hawkish after the new Inflation Reduction Act actually adds to inflation? Uh, I think the Fed has to be more hawkish, period. I don't really know that this I'm not even going to call it an Inflation Reduction Act. That is so comical, right? It's another 700 million in spending. Um it's inflation is and has always been a monetary phenomenon. Too much money chasing too few goods. It seems like, government wants to spend money. It's red or blue. They like to spend. It's facts. And yeah, inflation is I'm watching core inflation. Let's be very clear. I actually started talking about this with the last report, right? I'm like, okay, headline's going to go down, but core is going to go up. Core did not go up. It stayed flat. Uh, but I'm watching core. I think core was what, 6.3, 2 months in a row. That's really your wages. That's rent. That's really everything else in the economy. I read somewhere, so I haven't validated it yet, but mathematically it makes sense. If we have the rest of the months of the year, inflation is zero, right? Monthly inflation is zero. Headline inflation will still be over 6% at the end of the year. That just tells me the Fed has to be more aggressive. But there's a lot of folks. I mean, I actually think there's probably more folks. I think there is. I think there's more folks today that think the Fed pivots by the end of the year. I still think the Fed raises at every meeting. There are 3 meetings left. There's a lot of people that think I'm crazy, and they're probably right. But that's what I think. I think I think the Fed is going to talk dovish and act hawkish, which is kind of reverse to what they used to do. The Fed used to talk hawkish and act dovish. I think they know. I mean, you have to. The only way inflation has ever been beaten is at some point the Fed funds rate has to be above the rate of inflation. Today, the rate of inflation was 8.5, I think, 8.5, and the Fed funds is 2.25. That's still a negative interest rate. It's still a negative 6% interest rate. It's crazy. You can still get negative rates. It's crazy. So, yeah, I think inflation is going to be around much longer than people expect. Hey, Jesse, how are you? Jeffrey, yep. Puppies in the house. Did you purchase your first 3 multifamily properties in the same geographic area as your single family buy box? Just watched your video from 21K to 2 million. No, my buy box went from the Mayfair district, which was what I looked at for 5 years, right? 93703. Apartments were more spread out. No, they were still in Fresno County, but they were actually in 3 different zip codes. One was a 5-unit kind of residential area. One was a 10-unit building around other 10-unit buildings. And then the 13-unit building was down a cul-de-sac of other bigger apartments. It was like the smallest on that street, as I recall. Actually, I think across the street might have been an 8, but it was like 1347, and like on the end it was like 100 and something, 47. And I think there was an 8 across the street. So, yeah, they were different areas. By that time, we'd been in the business at, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years. Yeah. Yep. What are your thoughts on Brian Lebo's latest video regarding Lake Mead impact on Las Vegas house? I wish I could tell you. I haven't watched it yet. I will probably watch it this weekend. I'm still trying to catch up from a vacation, so I have not watched it. Was it any good? Did you like it? I saw it was 20 minutes long. He and I have been texting each other. We might get him back on the channel, but honestly, I haven't seen the video, so I have no comment. I like Brian though. Obviously, I like Brian. Do you think the new members of the government are going to try to fix housing market immediately, like November, December, or gradually? Again, my guess is as good as yours. I don't think the new people get in till January. I believe the election is November, but I believe they're sworn in January. So I don't think anything happens in November or December. I suspect by March. Again, if November goes how I expect it's going to go, where there's a split government. Right now, it's all Democratic, right? Where the Republican take the House or the Senate or both, right? As long as they take one, we essentially have a lame dunk president the rest of the two years. Nothing gets done. I think the only thing that they probably all can agree on, or at least mostly could agree on, is housing. So again, if we get a split government after November, by January, they're throwing stones at each other and yelling at each other like they do every day. And then by March, they try to do something, right? And I think one of the few things they could agree on is probably housing. So that's kind of what I see. Again, I'm a free market guy, so I think government intervention in a housing market is a disaster. I think the dangerous words are the government is here to help. That scares the hell out of me. Never works out well. But that also doesn't mean they're not going to try. They have a history of trying. Yeah, so that's what I think happens. I think they could probably take several runs at it. Yeah. Maybe March, it's like, hey, here's a 40-year mortgage only for owner-occ homes with 5% down. And, oh, here's a down payment assistance program. And, oh, here's this and here's that. It could happen. I don't want it to. Let me be clear. I want housing to heal itself. I want affordability to network down as people make more money. All right, because again, affordability is a problem. You fix it with one of 3 things: lower rates, lower price, or higher wages or a combination of all three. You know, yeah. Jeff, hey Mike, great work. Just wanted to leave positive comment today. Appreciate everything you do, Team Sunny. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. Thank you for all your comments. I've never taken any of the comments negatively, at least not that I remember. But thank you. I appreciate that. Scott, as a W-2 worker, would you stay in in single or 1 to 4 units if you were to restart your investing journey all over again? Oh, that's a good question. I would tell you the heart of one rental at a time is buying the best deal. I think there are content creators that love to say bigger is better. I like to mathematically prove that bigger is not always better. It's bigger. Bigger is better sometimes. Bigger is better. I don't think works today. 2022, August 2022. I think bigger is better might be very true January of 24, November of 23. I think there's huge amount of pain coming to syndications. I think there's a lot of LPs that invested with other famous names that are going to got. They're going to lose all their money. They're going to be upset. I think some syndications will get hurt badly when they do capital raises or their debt resets. I wouldn't touch me personally today. I'm not touching multifamily like 5 and above today, unless it's off market. If another seller wanted to sell me a portfolio and I can work out the deal, great. But on market apartments today, no, thank you. They're all frankly, I would sell apartments before I would buy them today. So today, I'm buying anything I can with 30-year money, which means residential. That's a today thing. That's a 2022 thing. That's probably most of 2023. But I think there's a time in the very near future, 24, 25, 26, that I might do my biggest deal ever. Right? I'm setting up to do what I did in my book, One Rental at a Time. I would love to sell a bunch of houses. Like think about what I just said earlier. I'm buying houses today, residential, 1 through 4s. I think it slows down. I think the government comes in and intervenes next year and does something stupid. They are going to increase the demand for first-time homes, which when you do that, prices increase because demand does nothing for supply. It just out of whack supply demand. And then what happens when all these syndications blow up? I 1031 out of expensive homes into apartments. I did a video this morning at 7 a.m. talking about how Norris Drive, a $21,400 down payment turned into $2.3 million in assets in 3 moves. I want to do that again. And I have a lot more than just Norris Drive today. So I look forward to that. So I think it's a combination of all this. I think residential today, but when you can, I have bought, everybody talks about buying foreclosures. I've bought apartment buildings that were foreclosed. They were ugly, disgusting, uninhabitable, just horrible. But you know what? You throw $100,000 at them and suddenly they look nice, smell nice, and are full. I look forward to doing that again. Real estate is cyclical. It's all cycles. You just have to watch it. It's why I look every day. You can see it coming. It never happens as fast as you want. Do the work every day. Know your buy box. Figure out average. Only do great deals. Today, it's act like it's a buyer's market. Ask for closing costs. Ask for rate buy downs. Don't pay list price. Write a lot of offers. Go find your great deal. This is not a time to sit back and do nothing. If you just don't, you just never know when you're going to find a motivated seller. You're just not. You just don't know. Take your shot. Rates will dictate over inventory. I think what you're referring to is kind of my comment about where do rates go, where do inventory go. I see them as separate. So I wasn't trying to create an order. I just have two riddles in my head today that I can't answer. And if you're trying to say rates are probably more important or more impactful than inventory, I think you're right. I think that's fair. I wasn't trying to create an order. I was just saying, hey, I have two questions that I don't know the answers to today. If rates stay at 6%, I think the market just kind of plods along. Nothing great. Nothing terrible. It doesn't fall out of bed, doesn't go to the moon. I think rates go to 8% next year. We got real problems. I think rates go to 4. I think people would be shocked what happens. But let's just say rates stay at 6%. You still got to fix the inventory problem, right? If we don't get up to 1.7, 1.8, 1.9 million active listings, housing, it's hard to correct when demand exceeds supply. Right? It's hard to, re-baseline and get more affordable. It just naturally pulls higher, right? If you have a supply of 100 and there's a demand of 400, guess what happens? You get multiple bids and, wave conditions. All right, so 100 and 400. Well, let's instead of doing 400, now we have 120. But instead of 100 here, we have 60. You're still out of whack. So yeah, I think they're both. But yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I wasn't looking at it that way. At least I wasn't yet looking at it that way. But yeah, I think rates are probably more consequential to your point, I think is what you're saying. I think that's fair. If oil is going down, something is moving up to make it zero monthly. Yeah, of course. Yep. Yeah, rent. Yeah, rent. Any chance San Francisco can rise from the ashes like New York City did in the 90s after being dystopian type city? First and foremost, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you know me at all, I hate San Francisco. Hate it with a passion. I hate it so much that I gave up one of my lifelong goals of being a season ticket holder to the Warriors because they moved their stadium there. I just can't stand it. It's unsafe. It stinks. It's just bad. But yeah, I mean, San Francisco is still a major city. It will be back. It has to bottom out first. I don't think it's bottomed yet. I think there are, I mean, Craigslist. I think I reported on it this morning. Craigslist has an office building in downtown San Francisco. It is 78 or 73% vacant. They've been trying to sell it for a long time. They just whacked the price 40%. I think there is going to be tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of vacant office space in San Francisco by next summer. San Francisco leaders basically flipped off the tech industry and said, we don't want you. So tech left. And now they're like, whoops, nobody came back to replace them. So I think San Francisco has some pain ahead, but it'll be back. It can be a beautiful city if it's led by good politicians. It will be back. I have every confidence. It will probably make some people gazillionaires. If you can come in and be like Sam Zell and buy at the bottom and just hold, you're going to make a gazillion dollars. So yeah, it'll come back. I don't think San Francisco is going to go to zero or something like that. Brandon, Fred pivot makes absolutely no sense to me. I agree. But I got to tell you, I talked to a lot of money guys, and most of them, if you gave them truth serum, most of them will tell you they expect the Fed to pivot by the end of this year. I think they're crazy. But again, most of these guys are running big money, and I'll listen. I don't see it, but I'll listen. Yeah, I listen. Yeah, I don't see it. But will they eventually pivot? Absolutely. I just don't think it's this year. I think a Fed pivot before next summer, like 1 year from now. 1 year, 12 months. And by pivot, I mean cut. I don't mean pause. I think they pause in Q1, maybe Q2, probably Q1. But a cut, an all-out cut, uh, it could be next summer. Yeah. Jeff, do you think student loan payments will ever resume? Yes, I think they will. I don't think they resume this year. Yeah. I see no chance that they stop, that student loans resume before January of next year. Can you imagine letting student loans start back up, which they're supposed to start up September 1st, I think? Um, yeah, I think, they'll start. They have to. I mean, that's what, trillions of dollars or some crazy number? But I don't think they start up this year. Get Thatch as a guest. Thatch has been a guest on the show. He's a very, very busy man. We text each other all the time, so I'll see if I can redo that. Get him back again. That would be fun. Hey, Romy. Good morning. How are you? Eric. I don't believe political change will flip the market. People have been trained to be looking for a home. Fed needs to not drop the rate more in order to let things balance a bit. Okay. I certainly hope the government stays out of the way. I mean, hopefully I said that, right? Free market guy. Let the market do what the market's going to do. I hate bailouts. I really hate stock buybacks. I think that's just a lazy form of executive-based compensation. Yeah. Don't take any more vacations. We missed the videos. That's funny. I appreciate that. I will be taking. I honestly hope to take a vacation every 90 days. So we will see what we see. But thank you for that. I appreciate the message behind that. That's very nice of you, Michael. Good morning. How are you? Theo, I see a lot of price drops in my market. Does that mean homes weren't priced right to start? Same size, same area, single family, have prices all over the place. Yeah, I mean a price drop. Yeah, I mean, I think that works for homes, for computers, for cell phones. I think a price drop. There's nothing magical about a home. You only drop the price because you're not getting what you're looking for. You drop a price in real estate to go to the top of the order, because a price drop is an update, and updates, go to the top of the list. Yeah, they weren't they? Yeah, so they weren't priced right. There's a lot of people coming out with wish pricing, right? They missed the top. They want to try to get the last little drop. The question you and I have to answer, and I just talked to Brian Lebo about this yesterday. He's starting to see a lot of withdrawals. Basically, you have a 450 house in a 400 market. You listed at 450. You drop it to 435. Nothing happens. Instead of moving it to 400, you stay put. You just take it off the market. I think there's one of the reasons I think inventory falls as we head to the end of the year is I think 10, 20, maybe 25% of active listings today are bogus. Think about that. Look at your market. Your market has 500 active listings. I'm willing to guess 100 of them, or 20%, are wish pricing. And maybe they're not ever going to sell, and the owners are going to stay put. Could happen. I mean, housing moves a lot slower than people want. People are still calling for a crash in November. And on a national level, we'll still be positive by the end of the year. When you look year on year, it's housing is a wild thing to study, because it's very sticky. You really need forced sellers and waves of forced sellers to destroy a market. which I don't see. Yeah, I mean, you can go back to the S&L crisis. You can go back to the Great Recession. You can go back to when the military pulled out of San Diego. You can go back to the oil shocks of the 70s. If you want to see really, really, really bad price declines, you need lots and lots of forced sellers all to hit the market at the same time. It's actually why I'm afraid of Canada. I don't own anything in Canada. I can just read what I read. And the fact that Canada has 5-year ARMs is first frightening, but then they adopted these 5-year ARMs with trigger rates. If all those reset at the same time, oh, watch out. Canada real estate could really get hammered quickly. Waves and waves of forced sellers, not good. Really, really not good. I'm very nervous for Canada. Pitt to NYC. 2-part question. Not challenging you, but I know you love the 30-year fixed. I'm looking at 11 unit and am being quoted a non-QM 25% down, 6% interest, 6% closing costs. Ugh. I've also heard most people sell refi within 5 to 7 years. So still, again, this is I will, again, what I do is not financial advice. I'm just answering what I do. I spent a year, and if you've been watching my channel, Pitt, which I think you have, I spent about 6 months getting all of my apartment buildings on 30-year debt. I don't want interest rate risk. I don't want to become a forced seller. Go look at my 52-year spreadsheet. You and I have no idea where interest rates could go. Interest rates could double. That's what they did in the 70s. Think about that. If interest rates went from 5% today to 10% by the end of the year, and you have to refi, in 2028, that could be a bad ending. So the 52-year spreadsheet scared me. My crystal ball is broken about tomorrow, let alone 6 years from now. So I took the action of locking in rates sub 5% and some sub 4 on everything I could. I will not do an ARM deal the next 2 years. In fact, the only debt I will take with a balloon is seller financing, and the only balloon I will accept is 10 years. But no, I'm not getting any ARMs on anything. But again, you do you. If your plan is to be in and out of that 11 unit in 5 years, you do you. I won't be doing that. But as you guys have seen, I'm wrong all the time. So, but yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to be a forced seller because my rate changed. That's a risk that I don't want, frankly. Hey Scott, how are you? Eric True. Oh, do you care to speculate on how long it will take to solve the chip shortage? It seems like it's a big drag on everything. Sure, I'll speculate on anything. That's always fun for me. I've done little to no research on it. I think the longer term answer is we got to make more chips here. I think the fact that we rely on supply outside of our borders for something that clearly makes our economy grow is an error in judgment that we need to fix. So I think the long-term answer is we need to become self-reliant. Chip fabs take years to build. So I would say, to be self-reliant, probably 2026, 2027, 2028, something like that. So years down the road would be my wild ass guess. Dan, you're very welcome. I'm glad it helps. That's appreciate. Have you heard of Peter Zihan? I have heard of him. Yes. Talking about the end of the world. Wow. That doesn't sound like a lot of fun. Demographics. Yep. Okay. Oil is artificially going down due to SPR release. I mean, it certainly doesn't. I mean, I think that's kind of one-sided. I think we've really had demand destruction. I think I think the world is slowing down. So I think there's true demand destruction, but yeah, you have demand destruction into a rising supply. That's guess what happens? Prices go down. It's economics 101. Um, so I think that's I think that's a statement that the right would scream, which I think is accurate, but also incomplete. I think there's truly demand destruction. And when you have demand destruction and artificial supply, prices go down. That's supply demand 101. Yep. So I think both things are happening. Of course, I do my best to answer all questions. Dividend Dave, good morning. How are you? Hamad, would this be a good time for creative financing and get into creative real estate? I think that is that you couldn't buy otherwise. I think I've been very clear on this. One of the reasons I just got back from an event where I spent thousands of dollars to go to is because I'm trying to learn more skills. I've done seller financing, but I've never done true creative financing. I think the next 2 years to possibly the next 4 years could be a time where you're deploying less cash and you're controlling more assets via creative financing. I think so. Yeah, I think it's right out there in front of us. I think the reason creative financing didn't dominate the last crisis was because the debt structure was toxic. I think what we've given us in this crisis that's in front of us is an asset called the 30-year mortgage, with some of them under 3%. 73% of mortgages are under 4%, according to John Burns Real Estate Consulting. Follow them on Twitter. That's an asset, certainly an asset I want to get a hold of. So yeah, I am very weak, very weak. Never done it. I understand it. Maybe at the 100,000 foot level, I got a lot of work to do. I've bought a lot of homes in the MLS. I've done some seller financing. I've done private money, but there's so many other avenues in real estate I have no idea about. So yeah, it's yeah, I plan to learn more. Again, kind of say what I do what I say. Yeah, I plan to learn more, yeah. Economy is strong, Fed can't pivot. I agree the Fed can't pivot. Fed hikes till middle of next year. Maybe. I don't see it. I see a Fed rate hike the next 3 meetings, so every meeting this year. I think they're going to want to take a pause. Maybe they do it in January. Maybe they may do one more raise first meeting in 23. I would bet I'd bet $1 that they pause in Q1. I don't think they cut. Don't take me wrong, but I think they pause. I think they pause in Q1. Yeah, I think so. I agree. You can't have functioning capitalism without bankruptcy. It's kind of part of the it's part of the math, frankly. It's why bankruptcy exists, to clean up, bad decisions. Yeah. Start over. Yep. Don't forget the thumbs up. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you for looking out. Oh, quiet one. 30 to 40% of wish pricing, if not more. Yeah, it could be. Could be. It certainly feels like 20%. But that's why it's wild out there. It's why I really do think active inventory falls. Right? We probably peak this month, probably peak in August, but then go down September, October, November. It's pretty wild. Nature your mental health, or we'll only have two amigos. Better Home Rental. Thank you. Yeah, yeah, I would love to do a trip every 90 days. It doesn't have to be an airplane ride, but yeah, we're hopefully be taking some more vacations, hopefully. Forced sellers will be iBuyers and 30% of sales to investor speculators. iBuyers, yeah, iBuyers are really interesting. There are some markets that are being decimated by iBuyers today. Phoenix comes to mind. And iBuyers in Phoenix are going to have to make a choice. They can either keep grinding lower, trying to sell one at a time, or I think at some point they call up some hedge fund and go, hey, how do you want to have 1,000 homes in Phoenix? That's what I think they're going to do. They're going to just come to some meeting. The CEO is going to come around and go, hey, enough's enough. Let's take a reserve loss of $10 million. Call up, three different, call up American Homes and Homes for Rent or whatever the other big ones are. And let's get a bidding war and let's sell all of our Phoenix inventory. And then poof, inventory's gone. Or they could turn around and go, you know what? Screw it. We already own these things. For the most part, they're repaired. Let's just become landlords. Let's wait for the market to return. Poof, inventory gone. So I don't think iBuyers, I think iBuyers need to go bye-bye. It's a horrible business model that had wrong compensation, that destroyed markets, and they're losing money. I mean, man, talk about burning hundreds of millions of dollars. They're just crazy. Yeah. And then as far as speculators, I don't know. I mean, flippers maybe. But I mean, if you're a buy and hold investor and you bought last year and you have a 3 on your mortgage and rents are going up, why would you be a forced seller? I don't see that. Yeah, I don't see it. 4 million mortgage rates adjusting up in the UK in the next year. 1 million homes sale a year in the UK. Supply is likely to more than double. Woo! Oh, I had not heard that about the UK. Ouch. That could be a problem. Yeah, it could be a problem. Even at 6% closing costs, which I had the same reaction, the numbers still look decent. Wow. Yeah, I saw that 6% closing cost. That's a big number. I would probably get the seller to pay half of it. Think about that. That's what I would do. I would ask the seller to pay 3%. Then it only comes out of pocket for you 3%. Yeah. Very welcome. Any thoughts on the impact of climate-related issues on real estate investing, buy and hold? Should we take any of this into account when buying? If you're investing in a market where climate could destroy things in the next couple of years, yes, you probably should look at that. Brian Lebo's video on God, I already forgot, Lake Mead. I've again haven't seen it. Somebody asked earlier, haven't seen it, but let's just say Brian Lebo said Lake Mead will be the Mojave Desert next year. Vegas is going to zero. Yeah, that'd be a problem. But if you're looking at a model that says 30 years from now, these three variables will happen and this, that, or the other, that's too far away. I'm a firm believer that technology over the course of time will fix things that we don't think are fixable today. So climate is a problem. The world is getting hotter. I have been I don't know if anybody knows this, but I've been to Alaska 3 or 4 times, and I have seen the glaciers recede noticeably. Like, I have pictures of us 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. You can't argue. The globe is getting warmer. But I also think technology will eventually reverse some of that. At least that's my belief. So if it's right in front of you, like Lake Mead going to zero next year, yeah, consider it. If it's 30 years from now, I'm a firm believer that technology and innovation will address it. That's kind of what I think. Mike, how would you calculate the yield when the entire price of the investment home is on a HELOC? Well, HELOC has debt. That's your mortgage payment. So that you're buying a 100K house, taking all of your HELOC. There's a payment there. Yeah. So that's all debt. So in my spreadsheet, you're not putting any cash down, but it's all debt. And then make ready and repair. So it's just your debt payment. Yeah. Charlatan? My local paper has 4 pages of sheriff sales for county-backed real estate property taxes next month. Cool. Awesome. Awesome. That's fun. Could we have a deep dive on asset protection in the future? Sure, we could do that. Yep. Ben, thank you. Thank you. No drop in prices in Phoenix homes are sitting on the market and sellers are not dropping price. Huge price drops are only the iBuyers and imaginary valuations. Yep. Yep. Yeah. So yeah, this is a transaction crash, as we've talked about. Yeah, I've been calling a transaction crash for 6 months. It's here. It's important. It's going to cause a depression in the real estate market, probably an economic recession, as housing is often done. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. What are your thoughts on solar panels for rental properties? I don't do it. In fact, people that watch my channel know I'm trying to build an ADU. I just got the unfortunate news that in order to get my ADU approved, which again is a measly 602 square feet, I have to install solar on my little ADU. And my initial reaction is F, forget you, F, not happening. So all of these extra requirements that California keeps throwing at, hey, build some small homes, build some tiny homes. Okay, I'll do my part. Now they keep just throwing more and more costs at me. I just got that note yesterday. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna actually ever build an ADU. I don't like California demanding, telling me what I can and can't do. Solar panels to me don't add rent, but they add expense. They add risk. I have no interest in doing that. So the real answer is if I am absolutely required to put in solar panels on my ADU, I will not build an ADU because it doesn't do anything for me, the landlord. Just increases my costs. It's crazy. So not a huge fan. Yep. Tamika. Yeah. Winters aren't nearly as cold. Oh, wow. Colder in the 48 states. Whew. What would it take for me to leave California? Olivia. That's the answer. Olivia. If she wanted to leave, we'd leave. She doesn't want to leave. I'd leave in a heartbeat. I mean, my dream, if I had my magic wand, we'd have 3 condos in 3 different countries. One of them would be the US, obviously. When we travel the world every 4 months, that would be my dream. But Yeah. Any experience with heir properties? Are they in the forced sellers? Yeah, I've bought several estate properties. It's a process. It's a legal process. That would be considered a forced seller for sure. Keith, welcome to the channel. I would look every day. I talk about having a buy box. Fish for motivated sellers. I'm only looking at days on market greater than 30. I don't look at first day listings anymore. Kind of the same stuff. Only write great offers, get closing cost credit, rate buy downs, ask for the moon. As buyers, you have power. Although you have to realize that Tampa is one of the hottest markets in the country. So, you got to do the work every day. Got to do the work every day. So, all right, everybody. I'm going to call it 4 minutes early because I need to get ready for our Zoom deep dive with PropStream that we will be doing for my students. Again, it will be live on this channel tomorrow at 9 a.m. We don't hide anything on this channel. I just do it with my students so I can control the questions. So we will see you. If you're one of my students, we will see you in that. PropStream invite is in the Facebook group and also went out on Teachable yesterday. Have fun. Take care. Bye.